What's up? This is Keith Wallen. You're listening to Thunder Underground.
Welcome to episode 421 of the Thunder Underground podcast. Trent here as always. And as you could tell right there at that intro, we've got a great one because Keith Wallen of Breaking Benjamin is back on the podcast. Keith was on here for the first time a little over a year ago, about the time that his most recent solo album, Infinity Now, came out. He's got a great new single out called Us Against the World right now that we're going to talk about. And of course, we're going to talk about many other great things with Keith coming up. One of the things we don't talk about is the fact that Breaking Benjamin is one of the main acts at Rocklahoma this year. And I bring that up right now because I need to let you know who sponsors this podcast. And one of the main sponsors, or the longest running sponsor of this podcast, is DEB Concerts. And DEB Concerts has brought tons of great acts to the Tulsa area, downtown, at the club level, and also at the arena level at the BOK Center, but they also book the Rocklahoma stage, the DEB Concert stage, every year at Rocklahoma. That stage also features the pre-party, so if you have a full 3-day ticket at any level to Rocklahoma, you can hit up the pre-party on the Thursday night. This year will feature Sebastian Bach. That was recently announced that he replaced Dee Snider. Dee Snider had to back out, so Sebastian Bach is stepping in, and of course, well known as the original vocalist of Skid Row. Well, not the original, but the most well-known vocalist of Skid Row, playing all the Skid Row hits, and that night will also feature the mighty Lita Ford. Can't wait to see her once again. And that night will also feature Trickster, another great act from the glory days of glam rock. We've also got Rocket Science, I believe, is playing that day. You know, if I'm wrong on the date, don't shoot me, but I'm pretty sure Rocket Science is on the Thursday. Friends of this podcast, they've been on a few times, and of course have a great podcast of their own called Tulsa Music Stream. The rest of the weekend on the DEB concert stage will feature Orianthi, an amazing guitarist who I'm excited to finally get to see live. Mike Tramp of White Lion will be headlining another one of the nights. He, of course, was on this podcast last summer. Van Halen, a great Van Halen tribute, will be on there another one of the nights, and that stage will also feature sets from our good friends in Fist of Rage, Dime Store Riot, One Night Stand, Paralandria. Actually, Paralandria might be on a different stage this year. I think I saw that posted. But anyway, some of those great acts and many more. Rocklahoma.com to check out everybody else is playing. Some great stuff this year. Bruce Dickinson, Tom Morello, 311, The Darkness. Shinedown. The list is great and long. Marky Ramone, of course, of the Ramones, playing all those hits. So check all this out. Rocklahoma.com, DEBconcerts.com. Follow DEB on the socials. It's easy to find DEB Concerts on Facebook and Instagram. And of course, let them know you heard about them right here. Also, when it comes to Rocklahoma, the Rocklahoma bitches have become an institution out there for going on 15 years now. They started in 2011 out there. And if you've been out there any length of time, I'm sure you've seen them, especially if you hang out in the campgrounds or in the VIP sections or at that DEB concert stage I was just talking about. They're over there a lot as well. Kendra and Christy have been doing this for a long time, and they have tons of great Rocklahoma Bitches merch. But the best part about it is they don't charge you for anything. Everything they have, they'll give to you for free. Of course, if you're not an asshole about it, but they like to, roll around on a vehicle or a golf cart and throw it out, or just bring it with them to the show and hand it out that way. So anytime you see them, maybe you'll get lucky and get some awesome Rocklahoma Bitches merch. They're also very charitable in other ways. Every year, Rocklahoma auctions off guitars that are autographed by some of the artists that have played that year. And Christy pretty much wins, one of those auctions, at least one of those auctions every year. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure every single year she walks away with at least one of those guitars. And a lot of times, she redonates it. Christy and Kendra also support and sponsor Cancer Sucks, which is a great benefit that happens every year in Tulsa, usually late November, early December at the Cain's Ballroom. And of course, that is a great benefit to help sponsor and bring light and bring money, to the organization Cancer Sucks. So anytime you see Christy and Kendra out there, if you hadn't heard about them, tell them you heard about them here, but I doubt that's the case. But we love Christy and Kendra and glad that they are supporting this podcast. Finally, I've got Sunset Tattoo. tattoo shop located in Midtown Tulsa. Their tattoos are done good and proper, Native American owned, and there is a female artist on staff full time. Give them a call or shoot them a message to set up a time for a consultation about what work you're looking to have done. If you've already got an idea ready to go, obviously they can very easily help you out with that. If you're not sure on your idea and you've just got something in your head that you need put together, they can greatly help you out with that as well. Hit up their socials, Sunset Tattoo Tulsa, on both Instagram and Facebook. There's tons of photos on there of their work throughout the years. You can see that they specialize in all different styles. I've had a couple big pieces done by Jake at Sunset Tattoo in the last few years, and I'm extremely happy with it. I know many other people that have had work done at Sunset Tattoo throughout the years that are very happy with it. And hell, a member of one of your favorite bands probably has as well, because Jake has tattooed lots of touring artists throughout the years in his time owning the Downtown Lounge, and of course just his time being entrenched in the heavy music scene. So hit up Sunset Tattoo and let them know you heard about them right here on Thunder Underground. All right, let's get right to the subject at hand. Keith Wallen is back on the podcast. He was on here, I believe it was late April of 2024. Like I said earlier, when Infinity Now was being released last May, Keith came on to talk about that. It was episode 398. And after you get done listening to this, I implore you to go listen to that one. Right now, Breaking Benjamin is out on tour, and I got the chance to talk to Keith. But as musicians are when they're on tour, sometimes they're strapped for time. And the last one we did last year, I believe he did it from home, and it was a good 45, 50-minute talk. And it kind of went all over the place, mainly about music, but a lot of different areas. We delved into some very interesting stories and insights from Keith. And in fact, it's one of my favorite episodes over the past few years. So check that one out as well. This one is great as well. Keith's talking about his brand new single, Us Against the World, came out here about a month ago. And there's also a video out for it, which is great. That's one thing about Keith, is that if you're not familiar with his solo music, maybe just start on YouTube, because he's got great videos for all these great songs. One of those being The Wolf that we talked about in length on the last episode. That's one of the stories I might be referring to. So check out that. Check out everything from Infinity Now, but first check out this brand new single, Us Against the World. There's a few tracks on the single release that are from Infinity Now. This track, of course, the main track, of course, is not. It's brand new. But he included a few tracks from the album, as well as a couple other versions. There is an instrumental version and an a cappella version of Us Against the World. We talk about both those and everything else going on in Keith's world and Breaking Benjamin and all that great stuff. So let's hear it. Here is Keith Wallen of Breaking Benjamin.
Here we are. Look at us.
We made it. So I know you're in the middle of tour right now. Where are you at today?
So I'm in Tampa, Florida. This is actually a makeup show, because last time we were here, a hurricane came through and canceled it.
Okay.
Yeah, so happy to be here this time. Looks like the weather's holding up, so
Yeah.
should be good.
Yeah. Generally a great place for weather as long as there's not a hurricane.
Exactly.
Cool, man. Well, Us Against the World, has been out here a little bit.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about, the meaning behind this song, because it's pretty deep.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think everybody in life, they want to find their person and or their people, and just I don't know, life's hard sometimes, and I think it's easier when you got somebody to kind of go through the battles with, and share the ups and downs, whether it be your significant other, your best friend, your band, there's lots of adversity with this life, and I don't know. It's also even just the good things that happen. It's nice to have people to celebrate the wins with, So that's pretty much what it's about. It's kind of just fighting through everything, the good and the bad, and having that person to be there with you, and or you're that person that's with them through all the stuff too. So yeah.
You kind of answered it, but I mean, I was thinking lyrically, this song could mean a lot of things to a lot of different people. Obviously, you're writing it from your own perspective, but do you have that feeling that it could go several different ways in several different instances in life?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's like I feel like I have multiple people in mind, when I was writing this. So it's not just one particular person, but it could be, but could be more people, could be, a whole litany of people and friends and family, and because you know how it is. It's like you never know what's going to happen, and it's nice to have some people that have your back. And sometimes it feels like your back's up against the wall. Sometimes you just like, man, God, just got to fight through it.
Kind of in relation to that, I'll step back to the song here in a minute, but the old cliche is whatever someone gets from a song, is great. But have you ever had someone mention a song you wrote to you that you kind of shocked you, like how it affected them or what it meant to them or how they interpreted the lyrics? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, sometimes people hear things kind of, differently, than what you wrote it for. But I mean, I love that, honestly. I think
yeah,
that's super cool because, I don't want to really pigeonhole people and their thoughts of like what something should be about. I want people to kind of take a song and have it relate any which way it can in their world. So, but yeah, it's always much appreciated when something that I've written can affect somebody positively, and when they let me know about it. I mean, it's just really cool. Because I mean that's really what you do it for. You really want to have a positive impact on people, and I definitely don't want people to just feel worse after hearing my music. So it's definitely the goal.
yeah. The video for this, I noticed that you directed it. Was this a first time directing for you? Have you done that before?
Yeah, never done it before.
Okay.
I wrote the treatment for this, and yeah, and co-directed it with my longtime kind of creative partner with a lot of my stuff, Courtney Delafiora. She's done a few of my other videos, and yeah, it was cool, man. It was a lot of work. We actually shot it on a day off during a Breaking Band tour back in the fall when we had a day off there in Vegas, and it was warm. It was about 106 degrees,
Uh,
and yeah, it was a hot one, but it was cool. It's definitely cool that to see the finished product, and to know that all the hard work we did out in the desert, it we got something cool out of it. So yeah.
so how fun was that laying in your face down in the dirt and 106 degrees,
You saw that, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was interesting. It's funny. Like if you look at the video for a second there, I'm kind of just looking at the dirt before I put my face, and I'm like, make sure there's no glass or fire ants or something that's going to get me. But yeah, because I mean, we were out there that you could tell people had just been partying out there. So there was like broken glass everywhere, cigarette butts, fire pits and stuff. So it was definitely kind of wild out there.
Is the ending to the video kind of like, your finality to that message, or is that kind of an opening for maybe a continuation in another video?
I'm not really sure. I've had a few people kind of ask me that. Obviously, we're us in the band. We're fan of the Lost Boys.
Yeah.
So we wanted that kind of vibe, and obviously, there's some plot holes. It's like, well, hey, well, if you're vampires, what are you guys doing out in the sun? But I'm like, well, the Twilight people did it, so. Uh, so yeah, it's we didn't really pay attention too much to the movie and continuity or whatever they call it when you find errors in movies and stuff. But
Right.
we were just having fun with it, and we were like, oh, it'd be cool if there was some kind of twist, and maybe we were all vampires, and so it was fun. It was fun to kind of put some vampire teeth in, and I don't know. It was cool, but whether it's a continuation on some other things, I don't really know yet. I think at first my mind was just like, hey, this is going to be its own universe and it's a standalone kind of story, and move on from there. But we'll see. Never say never. It could always come back again.
I guess if it was a continuation, you should get the saxophone player from the Lost Boys. Yeah.
Hey, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I hear that guy is still around and kicking and doing stuff, and so that'd be
Yeah.
kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, you included on this the single release for this. I think it was three songs from Infinity Now. Talk
Yeah,
about how you felt those. Obviously they relate sounds, in a sound and style wise, but kind of
yep.
like why you chose those songs to be included.
Yeah, I think with the way the world, the music world works, it's like it's a very single driven kind of thing now. It's like I feel like if people do kind of start digging into the albums, they kind of listen to the first few songs, and then maybe some of the songs that are kind of on the back half kind of don't get enough love. And so really, that's where I was thinking. I was like, let's take some of these songs that were kind of there at the end and kind of put them up front, and get them out there a little bit more.
So is this meant to be a standalone single, or is it leading towards more singles or an EP, or what's the idea there?
Yeah, I think right now, where the plan is to kind of put out some more songs over the course of the next little bit, and whether that leads to kind of a culmination on an album, we'll see. But right now I'm not too focused on it. I'm just kind of focused on kind of putting some songs together and putting them out over the year, because I mean it's really what you got to do. There's so much stuff coming out all the time. You got to keep releasing stuff to kind of stay relevant and in people's faces a little bit. So that's the focus at the moment.
Well, you also, included the instrumental version, which isn't uncommon, but what is seems uncommon to me is you released also the vocals only version. What was that your idea, or was that like where did that come from?
Yeah, that's kind of the thing that I've been noticing. A lot of
Okay.
other bands kind of been doing it, and it's just something cool to make content with and to make videos with. So I was like, let's do it. I think that's probably something we'll try to do moving forward.
I mean, I know you've been doing this for a long time, but is it daunting to you releasing something like that because it's extremely stripped down, or no?
Not really. I mean, I think just releasing a song in general is daunting, because, it's terrifying. You never know how it's going to be received or what, So, at some point you just kind of got to just close your eyes and let go and just be like, all right, it's done. I've done my best. I've done everything I can to make this the best possible art I can make at the time. So, then you just let it out into the world, see what happens.
I've kind of become a fan of going down the rabbit hole on YouTube of those where people will strip out the vocals from an old song and just listen to the
Yeah.
vocal track, like that. The one, that's been out there forever is the Under Pressure with Bowie and Freddie Mercury, which is
Oh, yeah.
unbelievable. I don't know if you get into that stuff at all.
Yeah, there's a lot of AI programs that can do that. So I think we're going to see more and more of that
Yeah,
stripped down stuff, because otherwise these people wouldn't have access to those tracks like that.
right. Stepping back, like I guess it's been 6 or 7 years. I'm admittedly a massive fan of Roxette, and you did that cover of The Look. And there's
Yeah.
been quite a few covers of that by artists throughout the years, by rock artists, but you went the opposite direction and did it, extremely laid back. Where did that, idea for you come from to like, make this kind of a stripped down version instead of an amped up, Keith Wallen, heavy version?
Yeah, it was kind of just on a whim. I think a bunch of my buddies were sitting around. They loved trying to come up with covers for me to cover. Some of my college buddies, and they were like, "How about Roxette? I bet you won't do that one." And I was like, you're probably right. I probably won't. But then I went home and I'm like, you know what? I could kind of work this out and maybe make it a little different. And so I just kind of started recording it and messing with it. And I was like, maybe this is something I could possibly release. And yeah, it was fun. Although I've seen some comments where there's been some haters where they're just like, this sounds nothing like them. This is awful. But I'm just like, that was the point,
Yeah.
kind of do a different twist on it.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I always find it admirable when someone can, mimic something pretty well, but what's
Sure.
the point of doing a cover if you're not putting your own stamp on it,
Yeah, no, exactly. I feel the same way. I love to hear artists, that can really match things, and you could tell they're wanting to do the just it justice, but it is for sure cool when there's a different kind of flavor to it.
Well, shifting gears, a little bit to Breaking Benjamin, you guys released, your first single last year, Awaken,
Yep.
in several years. Like, what's the response been like, on tour from when you guys are playing this live? Has it been like have people grabbed onto it pretty quick, you noticed?
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, gosh, I mean the reaction to the song on radio and Octane and everything else, the fans has been just absolutely amazing. So it's been very inspiring and encouraging for us because we haven't, like you said, it's been a long time since we put out music. So we were all a little nervous, a little scared, but I feel like we kind of stayed true to our sound, but still we still got we've added a modern edge to things and going forward, we're going to really kind of keep working on that. So we're still working on stuff, and we don't, we really want to take our time and make sure it's how we want it. So, but yeah, the song we've been playing it live on this tour, and it's been going over great, and so we're stoked. We're stoked to play some new stuff and have some more new stuff in the future.
I love that guitar riff at the end, how it just seems kind of unconventional, how the guitar riff just kind of makes this stamp at the end and,
Yeah,
just they kind of set it off to me.
I appreciate that.
Is the idea, you think, to do the same thing you mentioned with your singles with Breaking Benjamin? Are you guys just going to hope drop singles throughout as you record them, or are you guys working towards an album?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think eventually there'll be an album, but I'm sure there'll be a couple more singles. That's kind of the way. That's kind of the way we do it these days. All the bands.
Yeah.
So yeah,
One other question I wanted to ask you about Breaking Benjamin, just throughout your time, what do you think? I mean, you kind of might have actually answered it a minute ago when you said that modern twist, but what do you
yeah.
think it is about Breaking Benjamin that has kept the band at such a high level for, 20 plus years now in radio and fans' minds?
Well, I think it's a combination of things. I think it's a combination of Ben's voice and his brilliant songwriting. It's just a great combination of things, and he's been just such a just a great person and musician to be in a band with. He's great at what he does. He's I don't know. I think it really speaks for itself. For to not have an album for a long time and to still just having sellout tours and stuff like that. I mean, even a lot of people say rock's dead and all that stuff. I mean, dude, there's I don't know. Seems to be doing all right, I think.
Yeah.
But and another thing about him that I really just appreciate and respect is that he's so encouraging of all of us and all of our little projects and stuff we have going on outside the band. I mean, my solo stuff, like he is such a champion of, and just incredibly just encouraging. So and helpful. I mean, he helps me out with everything. I'll do some tours and stuff opening for Breaking Band too. So it's been really cool. And he gets it. It's like, hey, the better I do or the better somebody else's project does, it just helps everything. So, there's no kind of weirdness with it, which is just fucking great.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Well, you guys are, doing tons of touring this year, and one of the bands you're touring with later this summer is 3 Days Grace. And last time you were on, you mentioned how you were a massive fan of them early on and still to this day, and Adam and everything. So, kind of talk
Yeah.
about, seeing Adam back in the band and, what that means to you as a fan and a friend.
Yeah, it's exciting. Super exciting. I think Matt is great. I think he has really, really done a good job. And those are some big shoes to fill, and I think he really did great and kept the band just kind of really there and relevant. But man, I'm stoked to see Adam back too. I think it's a cool idea that they're kind of both singing, and it's pretty neat. So yeah, we'll be seeing it firsthand. So I'm super excited for that, man.
Yeah. Yeah, such a cool idea, man. As a massive Anthrax fan, I always wish they would have done that, but it's cool to see someone doing it.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, lots of touring coming up. Is there any Keith Wallen tour dates throughout the year sprinkled in, or is that pushed off till next year?
Yeah, we're going to try to get some a summer tour, and then we've got the one with 3 Days Grace, Breaking Ben in the fall, and then possibly another solo tour in the fall after that. So it's going to be a busy year, man. Haven't announced anything yet, but I think there will be soon some shows announced. So looking forward to it.
Right on. I'm loving the new single, man. I appreciate you coming back on with me and hope
Thank
to see you
you,
live. All right.
dude. Thank you so much for having me, man. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much.
There you go. Keith Wallen of Breaking Benjamin. A huge thank you to Shane of Adam Splitter PR for his continued support of this podcast throughout the years. And of course, a massive thank you to Keith for taking some time out there to hit me up on Zoom while he was out on the road with Breaking Benjamin. Breaking Benjamin's on the road right now with Stained. They also have a tour this summer with 3 Days Grace, touring throughout the year, as you heard there from Keith. Hopefully some solo dates mixed in through there in the meantime, heading into 2026 as well. Breaking Benjamin's a great live band. I would love the chance to see Keith solo as well. Like we talked about there, like I talked about up front, Us Against the World is out now. Check it out. Check out the video. If you have not heard Infinity Now from last year, check out that album. And if you haven't heard any of Keith's solo stuff, check out all that. I promise you, if you're here because you're a fan of Breaking Benjamin and you hadn't heard that stuff, you'll like it. It's not exactly the same. That's another thing we talked about in the interview from last year, episode 398, was that, it's always great whenever an artist releases solo music and you can hear, a slight similarity to what they do in their quote unquote, day job, even though this is entire day job, but I mean, it's quote unquote the job they're known best for. But this also goes into different areas, a lot of different areas that Breaking Benjamin doesn't. And of course, his previous work with Adelita's Way, and even some of his previous solo work, it's all over the place. And he even had like an early EP a little over 10 years ago that was all piano and acoustic based. Very good stuff. So check out all of Keith's solo work. And of course, the work with Breaking Benjamin that he's been doing with them for the past little over a decade as well. And I'll be looking forward to seeing them once again this year at Rocklahoma. So Keith, we'll see you at Rocklahoma. If this is your first time listening, greatly appreciated. Like I said a couple times now, check out episode 398 with Keith. There's also been tons of other great people throughout the history of this podcast that you might be a fan of. This is episode 421, so that means there's 420 episodes prior to this. Pun intended. Not all of them are potheads. In fact, only maybe a few. Who knows? Or maybe a lot. But check out all these previous episodes that span the gamut of rock and roll. Like I said, here, 2 episodes now with Keith of Breaking Benjamin. We've also had on 2 members of Seven Dust. LeJean and John Connolly have both been on here at separate times. I've had on Greg Upchurch, the drummer of Three Doors Down. And of course, if you haven't heard by now, if you're a fan of rock music, I'm sure you've heard that the singer of Three Doors Down, Brad Arnold, was recently diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. So we wish him and that band nothing, but the best, and hoping that, a year or 2 from now, we're seeing Three Doors Down back out on the road because Brad is doing great. We've also had on RJ Hell, the drummer for Hellstorm. Jason Todd, the former guitarist of Shinedown. Members Josie Scott, the original voice of Saliva. All kinds of great artists from, like, say, the thrash metal world. Several members of Megadeth have been on here in the past. Alex Skolnick of Testament. Members of Death Angel, Creator. Let me think. We've had on the vocalist of Dark Tranquillity. That's not thrash metal, but he's like the godfather of melodic death metal. We've had on, let me think here, Johannes from Avatar has been on here in the past. Gene Simmons of Kiss. Dizzy Reed of Guns N' Roses. The almighty Glenn Hughes, one of the greatest vocalists in the history of rock and roll, has been on here a couple times. Michael Monroe. Paige Hamilton from Helmet has been on multiple times. Frank Hannon of Tesla has been on 4 or 5 times. The list, my friends, is very, very long. You can check out everything at thethunderunderground.com. You can stream right there. You can stream pretty much anywhere podcasts are heard. Wherever you're listening right now, bookmark, like, follow, subscribe, whatever it allows you to do. If you're on Spotify or YouTube or anything like that, just hit the subscribe, and then and after you do that, hit the rating button, because that always helps as well. And if you see any post on social media, just hit a like. All you got to do is like it. That helps out. If you comment, that helps out even better. It helps spread the word around. You know how these algorithms work on social media. But Thunder Underground is on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, which isn't really getting used ever that much, but also YouTube, of course, and TikTok. Lots of content shows up on the social media that is separate from these podcast episodes. So follow all that, like all that, much appreciated. And hey, looking forward to a great episode next week. We've got Steve, one of the two vocalists and the guitarist and the main songwriter of the band Wolves at the Gate. Very excited to get this one out. They've got some great new music coming on a brand new album that comes out next Friday. So be on the lookout for that episode and that album as well. We've got some other stuff in the works, and of course that will be announced when everything's finalized and happen, as we do here. All right, once again, a massive thank you to DEB Concerts, Sunset Tattoo, and Rocklahoma Bitches, and of course, Adam Splitter PR and Keith Wallen of Breaking Benjamin. Until next time.
Thunder Underground, y'all.